My dear viewers, this is a new edition of Africa Today. Egypt is due to host the G20 meeting next September. It would be the first time Egypt has to be hosting or organizing a G20 event since the group was established in 1999. More in the following report.
Egypt will host its first official G20 meeting in early September, with discussions focusing on food security. The statement was made by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Saturday. Ragil Itribi, the Egyptian presidential representative and Assistant Foreign Minister for Regional and International Economic Affairs, said this would be the first time Egypt has hosted or organized a G20 event since the group was established in 1999. He said it is rare for G20 member states to agree to hold an official meeting in a non-member country, an exception, he said, that reflects Egypt's growing role in global economic diplomacy and its active engagement in G20 discussions. Egypt has participated as a guest in 5 G20 cycles, including under the presidencies of China 2016, Japan 2019, India 2023, Brazil 2024, and now South Africa 2025. The upcoming meeting in Cairo will address regional and global food security challenges. According to the Foreign Ministry, the agenda will explore connections between food security and other issues, such as sustainable agriculture, trade, infrastructure, technology transfer, and financing, areas of particular concern for Egypt, African nations, and the wider developing world. The G20 brings together the world's largest economies, representing about 80% of global GDP and 75% of international trade.
Well, to shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to have with us over the phone our dear guest, His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon, Your Excellency.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Well, Your Excellency, how do you weigh the step for Egypt to host its first G20 meeting in next September?
It's one more occasion of the highly active Egyptian diplomacy, especially that now as diplomats, we are happy to gain the diplomacy of the presidential level.
Yes.
Our president came, since he came, he's putting his input in all Egypt's relations, and really, as an old diplomat, I'm following him from 1 hour to another, not from day to another. Phone calls, either he calls his counterparts, or he receives phone calls, or he participates personally in some meetings, or receiving some high officials or presidents of the other countries. So it is very active diplomacy. And as of the G20, I recall here that our president was invited to be present in some meetings of the G20 itself, because this is not the G20, it is part of the activities of the G20, one organization or one meeting specialized in a certain activity,
yes.
which will involve it. So Egypt also has its history in all these activities, and we are happy to have one more occasion to prove that Egypt is doing its work on the international level.
Yes, Egypt, for its part, the Egyptian officials said that the move for Egypt to host the G20 meeting next September reflects Egypt's role in the global economic diplomacy. So how did you read this statement?
Yes, as I said, I am so happy because this is one more activity. We have never, of course, host any of the activities of the G20, and to tell our audience that how important is this. Those 20 countries are almost half of the whole world income. So it is very important, and most of the trade of the world is with such a group. So,
yes.
So it is not the meeting itself, but you will have many activities on the occasion of the meeting. I am quite sure that our president will meet many participants of this occasion. Our Minister of Foreign Affairs also will do his job to meet other counterparts And at the end of the day, we gain experience, we gain occasions for more trade, more investment, more economic cooperation, even cultural cooperation if you want.
Yes, Your Excellency Ambassador Bayoumi, the discussions are to focus on the food security. So how would you describe the seriousness and the critical issue of the file of food for Africa?
For Africa and for the Arab world.
Yes.
And I think that Africa has a surplus of food, but we do not collect it correctly. We do not have the way and the means to have a sort of canned food or something like that. In my experience, I once imported, when I was ambassador in Africa, I imported canned food, Egyptian canned food.
Yes.
And the Prime Minister phoned me saying, I'm congratulating you that Egypt has such an industry. Come and teach us, because our fruits and our vegetables, it's just thrown everywhere, and we cannot make use of it.
Yes.
So always I ask for relatively small and medium-sized investment from Egypt with the help of developed countries in Africa.
Yes.
And as you well know, the Arab world has a lack of food.
Yes.
We have a lack of $50 billion annually.
Yes,
we are importing food.
But on the contrary, Africa is rich with food. How would you list the reasons for the threats to Africa's food security, while it has the potential to become the world's food basket?
It has a potential, but they do not use it. They need somebody, some country like Egypt, to teach them, to cooperate with them, to tell them how to make use of this wealth, because they do not know. Even I was in one African country, and I told them, you have thousands of fiddens which is not cultivated. And they asked it innocently, why should we do that? We have enough food. So still the culture of foreign trade and exports is not yet as it should be in the African countries.
Yes, so the agenda of the upcoming G20 meeting includes the sustainable agriculture. How can sustainable agriculture help food security file?
It will be a very good help for Egypt, for most of the Arab countries, then for Africa also, because they will have more and more income coming from exporting such merchandise.
Yes.
And this is for sure a good story of success if we help it and if we give it all our efforts.
Yes, yes. So how important is it to encourage the investment in the field of agriculture or the agricultural sector in Africa and worldwide?
This is a very important question, because of course we need investment. But still we do not have the culture of investment. If you ask the public opinion, they prefer the government investment. But government cannot plant wheat or vegetables or cereals. And we need private sector to do this job. And that's what our president is saying. Another thing we are suffering, it is the bureaucracy. We have a lot of bureaucracy. And since Gamal Abdel Nasser, he was telling us that make sure that the bureaucracy can stop more and more investment.
Yes.
Also, our banking system, it needs much more developed.
Yes.
Then we have the transport. We do not have roads and means of transport inside Africa. We need to do that. And I recall here the Egyptian history, where the Egyptian during the Pharaonic time, they send a line of ships on the western coast of Africa and the eastern coast of Africa. And I met some tribes in many African countries who are proud they are the rest of the Pharaonic time. They have Pharaonic origin. This is the old history. So why don't we try again to have this all this input? And but we have to do our homework concerning our bureaucracy, our banking system, and our ways of transport.
Yes, so what are the African files, in your opinion, Your Excellency, that should be presented at the G20 meeting next September?
Yes, this is a very good question.
The climate
and
change,
I think
yes.
in a meeting like that, it is very good occasion for experts to exchange ideas, that we tell our counterparts about our problems, and we ask them for their opinion. We can have a lot of the experience of our partners, and then we are in the position of benefiting from all these meetings.
Yes. I thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your valuable information, Your Excellency, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Well, the UN peacekeeping chief is warning that Sudan conflict is spilling into the Central African Republic. He was speaking before the UN Security Council as the UN chief said BH, the suspected of belonging to the rapid support